Against this right back, Charlie, definitely.
There's always just that active red line defenders. I think it's like. There's always just that active red line defenders. I think it's like. There's always just that active red line defenders. I think it's like. There's always just that active red line defenders. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. People deluded, I'm back again. Can you lot hear me and that all good? I don't know what's going on. It feels like something's going on. Something's a bit weird, but nonetheless, I hope everyone's doing safe. Big up you lot that are tuned in. Again, it's a big day of football, as it always is on the weekend. After this, we'll be doing a watch along for Manchester United against Brentford, where I'll be cheering on the Bees for 90 minutes. Hopefully, they can rub salt into the Manchester United wins, especially because my group chat is active right now. You know what Man United fans have been doing recently. They're cheerleaders for Man City. They're doing the most in the group chat. But, you know, if you lot lose to Brentford, then, you know, the footballing gods finally allow us to beat City is lit. Speaking of Man United fans, you know, you're always part of the chat and appreciate you, Towns. But unfortunately, where your talent of finding content creators hasn't been extended to clubs you support. It has been a minute. I hope you're doing well and safe. 76, I hope you're well and safe. So, yeah, with that being said, any talking points, questions, get them in. One love if you're on YouTube, Twitch, etc. Again, I appreciate all the support on my platform. Let's see what Mikel Arteta has had to say in relation to the City game, where boy, it's going to war, in it. You know, we've lost the last 12 league defeats. It's crazy. The last 12 games we've lost in the league. It's ridiculous. Yes, some of the games have been closer than others, but fundamentally we've been losing, and that's all that matters. Arteta, and again, I'm so happy Arsenal.com have put the most important thing for me at the start of this press conference on Bukayo Saka's fitness and if he's in contention to play. Bearing in mind he's been called up for England, you know, again, while we might not know the status per se on Bukayo Saka's exact fitness, you'd imagine the medical staff of England and Arsenal have been in dialogue, or maybe even Gareth Southgate and Arteta on WhatsApp. But nonetheless, well, he's in contention. We'll see how it progresses from here to Sunday. Obviously, he had to leave the pitch against Lens. That's never good news, but let's see how it recovers. Come on, Starboy, the real Starboy. We need you, man. Again, you look at the potential front threes we got to put out there. Let's be real. If it's not got Saka, it's Meaty. You know, again, Saka, Jesus need to play. I'm not really here for, Havertz up. If it works, it works. But Havertz up front, Jesus on the left, and Trossard on the right, or something like that. In an ideal world, I would want Saka, Martinelli, and Jesus. Or if it's a thing where Arteta says, do you know what? Saka's had 1-2 knocks. Martinelli allegedly might be back, but is nursing the knock. I could only risk from the start one of the two and have one as an impactor. Then, of course, for me, Saka starts. Jesus is up there, and Trossard plays off the left. Of course, you've got Reece Nelson. You've got Smith Rowe. I don't expect them to play off the left. You do have Jesus playing off the left, and maybe Eddie Nketiah through the middle. So we have to see. And on what Saka's injury was, I leave that for the doctors. Now, Mikel Arteta has learned from Pep Guardiola, in my opinion, and also Arsene Wenger, in that, you know, he sometimes when he wants to be very specific, he's very specific, and then others he says a lot of stuff. Like, we know that's for the doctors, but you're the manager, sorry. So you're gonna have to have dialogue with the medical staff and know exactly what the injury is, just like for every other player. On Thomas Partey, and I think, you know, Arteta's been very vague on Saka. this kind of proves how Arteta handles press conferences, because he's been very specific here. Well, he's ahead of schedule, that's for sure. We wanted to have him in the squad if we needed to. The way the game panned out, we had other necessities and we didn't use him. He'll be in the squad tomorrow, which is obviously in relation to Arsenal versus City. First time watching you here, normally on YouTube. Appreciate the diversity. Lucky number 13. 13 is my favorite number, man. I'm born on the 13th. So, yeah, it is what it is in that regards. But moving on making our best unbeaten start for 16 years, which it could end against City, God forbid. Well, consistency, that's for sure. That's what we are looking for in this league. You have to be at your best every single match. We have managed to win a lot of games. Something that we haven't been better at is when you cannot win, don't lose, except for midweek in the Champions League. That's what it requires. Every 3 days, you have to be at your best. On how Raya has settled in, very good around the players, with his teammates, around the club. He knows London really well. He knows the way we play, and he's used to that, and he knows the league. So he's done exceptionally well. On if we could take anything from the Community Shield, I think you can. It shows we can battle. We can quote unquote go toe to toe with City, and City can't beat us at Wembley, but it's a different dynamic, and you don't have the luxury of extra time and penalties to decide things really, because if it wasn't a penalty shootout with a trophy on the line, which we won the English Super Cup, it would have been a draw, really. Well, that's an important one for us. To win a title against Manchester City is always something you have to value. I don't think he's wrong there. The way we did it as well, and it gives us confidence and belief that we can beat them. On the differences between the sides since then, well, that was a while ago. Obviously, it was after pre-season. We had some players available, some players not available. We are much more into the season, so it will be a different game. On the victory Wolves had against City and whether that impacts the game, any team in the Premier League has the tools and qualities to beat you, and I think all the managers are aware of that, that's for sure. We aren't looking back for sure, because there were different players participating in those games, but we know one certain thing, that we're going to have to be at our best. We have to be at our best in every single department for 100 minutes. Again, football added on time's crazy now. Then we have a chance. On if this is a season-defining one for us, I believe it is, or it is and it isn't. And I believe it isn't because, again, there's still a bunch of football to be played. But I believe it can be, because obviously, if you're trying to pit Manchester City to a league title, you need to be looking at 90-odd points, essentially, people. And you need to be taking points off your rivals. If you're not going to beat City or get 3 to 4 points from the 2 games you play against them, you need to be perfect for the other 36 games in the Premier League, and we can't guarantee that. And it would also show, in my opinion, that, we've defeated ourselves as much as City, because it does feel like, as much as it's a chess match with what Arteta does and Pep and all the, many talking points on the pitch, Benjamin White or Tomiyasu against Doku, etc., it is a mental test. And I feel a lot of the games against Manchester City, generally, they've been won or lost in the tunnel, just like at the Etihad last season, people. You can go back and look at my watch along there where I said it don't look good beyond the obvious because of that. On Benjamin White, I'm really happy with Ben. I think he's been a very consistent player for us. I think he's always developing for us. I think he's developed in a great way, both as a centre-back and especially as a full-back, because there were some question marks there as well. I think he's got the character of a proper fighter and a character that we need in the squad, especially at this level. I'm really happy for that. Wouldn't have thought there would have been question marks over Benjamin White as a fullback. It seemed like, at least in his year in the Premier League at Brighton, he was exclusively playing there, but it is what it is. People, again, big up yourself for that one, my friend, again, and everybody else tuned in. So, yeah, I don't think that we can disagree with anything. Again, we can kind of skip through that. Again, I don't want to hear what Arteta has to say about refs, because not that I don't want to hear about what he's got to say. He's going to echo what we all believe, and it's wasted energy talking about referees. On not getting caught up in emotion, first of all, I think that we have the best atmosphere ever at the Emirates. If we can create that, it's going to be helpful for the team. We have movement, where we have managed it exceptionally well. Against PSV was a really good example, and certain parts against Spurs, but that's down to us. Hopefully the crowd can give us that, and that'll be a big plus for us. On Saka, in contention, that's it. I'm not the doctor. That's what they told me. On if he's had conversations regarding our right winger with Gareth Southgate. I've spoken to Gareth on several occasions, but I have to do my job. I have to give him the news and the position that everybody is at. Then we have a really good communication. He needs to make the best decision for the national team and organizing them. On if he and Pep can surprise each other, I don't know. I'm sure that every year we have new tools and new players who can do different things, but obviously we know each other and we expect something from each other. At the end, it's down to the players, and they're the ones that surprise you the most, that's for sure. On the last thing he did that surprised Mikel, probably something that he didn't do. I expected him to do something very different with Bernardo Silva when he played him at left back against us last season, and he didn't do it. on whether he prepares for left field ideas like that. Yes, and he does that normally in big games and against big teams. That's not only his decision as well against different opponents or different things. That's a big quality of theirs because they can change it, but not only before the game. I think they can do it during the game. They can do it at halftime, and that's a strength of a team that is able to dominate. So again, that's something Mikel Arteta is going to have to bear in mind. As much as it's the players on the field, it's reacting in game and stuff like that. We should, what have you said here, my guy? Just a guy. We should start looking for a worthy left wing, because if we lose Saka due to injuries, then our future is dark. I think we just need wingers in general. I'm sure a lot of the flavour of the month for Arsenal is probably Pedro Neto, and there's a bunch of other players. So yeah, man. On if there are any games he wishes could be replayed, no comment. There's a bunch of them, really. On whether City will play long balls against us, of course they have the element to do it, but they're not a long ball side. They will do it. You know, City can cut you open all over the field in 2-3 passes. So if Arsenal are open on the transition, naturally they're going to cut through the team like that, and we should be able to do that, if I'm honest with you. You know, going into the game, how I would describe Arsenal, I think, you know, in terms of negatives, because I think there's a lot of positives. I think there's teething problems with the new system and the expectations of this year. I think we take more risks in the defensive third than in the final third, and I do think, you know, we're kind of an open book in that regard, and we do kind of quote unquote struggle against low blocks. Struggling doesn't always mean you don't come out the right side. So yeah, on long balls with City, said they did that against Brighton when they were super aggressive, or against Liverpool. It's about adapting to the behavior of the team. You know what you're going to provoke when you have certain ideas. You want to get a team really high up the pitch, and now they have different qualities. Ones we're aware of with Haaland as well, and they're different qualities because they have Edison and another goalie. Hopefully, you know, we don't have to drop the line back too far because Holding's not going to be there, and hopefully Saliba and Gabriel are going to be able to do stuff. Do you think Tony is worthy to play as an Arsenal striker? Yeah, I do. I think Tony's a quality player. On the importance of having competitive backup players like Trossard, really important. I think Leao's been really good. I think he had a big impact on the team in the last game that he played, and he has an absence against Brentford where he didn't participate, but for the rest, he's been really good. If Martinelli ain't fit, play Smith Rowe. I just don't think he'll bet on Smith Rowe for that game. You know, Smith Rowe is probably going to be an impactor, but you're right. You do have Nelson, you do have Smith Rowe, you do have Trossard, you do have, I don't know if you lot want to see it because it probably means Eddie has to go through the middle with the greatest of respect, but you do have the luxury of Jesus moving out wide. And there's probably a player I've missed out as well, really. Could Arteta even do something left field of a choice, you know, because when I think of City, it is a chess match, but I think of the pockets, you know, Zinchenko, again, the space that's left is what's going to be exploited. But if it's a game of football, you know, you're going to have Rice, Partey and Odegaard. Zinchenko's going to go in there. Do you go with Fabio Vieira, which wouldn't be expected, or Smith Rowe as somewhat of a wide playmaker to get more players in the pockets? Because another criticism of Arsenal is our right-hand side is very strong. Saka, Benjamin White, great relationship. Odegaard when he pulls over there. On the left-hand side, you know, it's still a bit of teething problems. You know, Martinelli's not really been fit. Well, of recent, Zinchenko's had some knocks. Havertz is still getting to grips with that role. Obviously, if you've got Partey, that opens up Declan Rice to kind of operate in that kind of left space in midfield, kind of what he's doing at the start of the season. Zinchenko, it's a big game for him. And to be fair, I think it's a big game defensively. They're going to look to target you. And I do wonder if Mikel Arteta is going to go with Tomiyasu as opposed to Benjamin White on the right, or maybe Zinchenko on the left. But it does kind of kill our build-up play. So, yeah. But anyways, our left back is said, I big up the ads, man. 76 has got to be done. It's set automatically. Zinchenko has said it's a massive game for us. Unfortunately, we haven't won against City for a long time in the Premier League. Obviously, we're expecting a tough game. The fans at the Emirates Stadium are always trying to push us forward. We really appreciate it because it helps us a lot when there are tough moments. It's always a pleasure to play here as a City player. Apart from an amazing crowd, they've always had great grass on the pitch. It's a pleasure to play here. I don't remember getting cramped playing here because of the quality of the pitch. That's great, man. Before kickoff, the way our crowd sings North London Forever is so loud and it gives you goosebumps. When asked about Kai Havertz, he said, we are one family because we are spending time with each other on and off the pitch. We try to be together. It was an amazing gesture from Martin and Bakayo because they are our two penalty takers, and it was so good for Kai. He's such an important player for us with amazing qualities. You're growing as a person with such nice people around you, trying to improve yourself. You learn every single day through a lot of different situations, sometimes with emotions. You need to have experiences to know how to react. So I'm looking at you, Jesus. Havertz, if he plays, you know, even Saka to a degree, because you're one of our more experienced players, but I'm looking at you lot to make the difference, essentially. Arteta on confidence. I think Arteta said other things as well. Well, that was important for us to win. Oh, sorry, we've seen this already. People really and truly say so. Got a bit confused there. What else have we got? Arsenal and FA to consider compromise, which will see Saka rested for Australia friendly amid concerns over the attacker's workload. The FA and Arsenal are considering a compromise. I mean, we need that with Bukayo Saka. I don't think we need to read all of that, but the least you could do is rest Saka's legs in pointless friendlies, if I'm honest. Spurs have had 6 clear chances already. They can't score. With the greatest of respect, they're playing Luton in it, so you'd imagine they wiped the floor with Luton. So I hope I'm wrong. Lokonga's there. Obviously, he's injured at the moment. But yeah, Spurs will probably wrap that up. In terms of injury news, Pep Guardiola has said John Stones will join, obviously, Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri in playing no part. You do have Calvin Phillips and Kovacic, and I'd think anybody who writes off City just because they're missing a few key players are moving brazy. And he's also said, if it will let me look, Arsenal's trip won't define shape of the title race. And I mean, it won't, because City normally start the season slowly. They started off strongly, and they're not in full flow, really, which is the scary thing. He said this will not define a lot, and that's what our players need to learn. Play the game, not the occasion. It will be different when they come here at the Etihad. Then it will depend on the situations we're in, which obviously time would have moved on by then. We know where we came from with the treble, and after that, the tendency is to go down. We can play better or worse, but in general, in training, the focus is there. After a few games, we are top of the league. We had an incredible step forward in the Champions League. In this month, the Champions League is the most important thing by far until February when it starts again. What I want is to arrive here in February when we start the Champions League, to be in the competitions, and it's close, to be close to the top of the league and to keep the distance short and make the last 10 games in our competition. Okay, let's do it again. Smash the like button if you're on YouTube. I think everybody echoes that. If you qualify for the Champions League knockout stages, you focus on the Premier League until the Champions League is back again. We made a big step on Wednesday with the win at Leipzig. Now we have Arsenal, the biggest rival last season. In the past, they were not there. Now they will stay there. Boy, we'll have to see. He then said, absolutely, there will be title rivals along with Liverpool. To analyze contenders, the idea is the first 10 games. We haven't played 10. We have to wait, but the big teams are always contenders. Arsenal is back. When I was a young boy and starting as a manager at Barcelona, I know they fought Sir Alex Ferguson's Man United team. Then for many years, they were not there, but now they're back. It's a contender, yes. And when you see in the calendar, it says you go to the Emirates, you know it's a tough one. So Pep Guardiola is full of praise for us, people. We'll have to see exactly how that goes. What is this? I think this is just some analytical stuff around Saka and take-ons and Martinelli. I think we know with Saka and Martinelli, we lose that directness. We know with City, they lose a lot with Rodri, but there are other players that can step in. Their win percentage without Rodri is still 60%. With him, it's 74.3. So it's still quite high. We all know you're going to miss a player like Kevin De Bruyne. You're going to miss. Maybe even Haaland misses him. Haaland's on a bit of a goal drought. Somehow he'll find goals as well, really and truly. So yeah, man, and obviously John Stones is a massive loss for anyone with his sort of quality as well. What's this? He's got the character of a fighter. That's in relation to Benjamin White. Don't know why Southgate won't call him up. Allegedly, West Ham are keeping tabs, people, on Emil Smith-Rowe. Apparently, them, Newcastle, Aston Villa, assuming the 23-year-old doesn't play enough football between now and January. We'll have to see. I mean, if you want to give us Bowen, we can make something happen in that regards. That was just me on my reading. In relation to Pedro Neto, allegedly, Arsenal to submit huge offer for Pedro Neto. Wolves will hold out for huge fee for Arsenal target Neto. Sources have told Football Insider. The Molineux club are reluctant to let the 23-year-old leave for below his market value after his start to this campaign. We was quoted 50 million last summer. I wonder how much that's gone up because he started the season great. He's bouncing back from his injuries. As you know, allegedly Arsenal have once again been linked with the winger, who is allegedly a long-term target for us. It's believed Arteta's side tried to sign him once again in the summer window. Since then, he's getting off to great form and he can play on the left and the right. January is a difficult one. He's also drawn interest from Liverpool and actually Manchester United. Apparently, his agent, George Mendes, wants him to part ways with Wolves and join a bigger club. So we'll have to see exactly what's going on. But one thing's for sure, they'll make a handsome profit of what they initially spent on him in 2019. Graham Bailey said, I'm told by sources close to Wolves that they are expecting Neto to leave in January, but their valuation would need to be met. He's under contract until 2027, but their valuation would need to be met. He is showing the sort of form that could persuade someone to make a move in January. I understand that George Mendes and his staff are confident that Neto will move in 2024 and most likely in January, but it depends on the needs of those interested parties. And if we could get the money together, once again, Liverpool allegedly are keeping tabs on him. this is just going to link us with the same stuff. Brentford are planning to block Ivan Toney from departing in January. They're determined to keep hold of him. Apparently, Spurs are the front runners to sign in, people. As you know, apparently, 1 minute is 60 million. Now they want close to 100 million for Toney. It's believed the move in the summer is much more likely. He's got 12 months left on his deal, and he has got new agents. We have been linked with a defender, people. We've been linked with Fiorentina's young fullback, Mikel Arteta. I can't pronounce that, but the 19-year-old has broke into the first team. He's a product of the Juventus loan system, and it hasn't quite worked out there. We could do with another defensive body. He is contracted until 2025. Apparently, you know, they've got an option to extend it by another year, but they're probably in a pivotal moment where the leverage is high for them to get decent money. An Arsenal move for Toney is set to hinge on Brentford's massive valuation of the striker and whether Mikel Arteta's side are willing to meet it. There's a feeling that Toney sees the January transfer window as the optimum moment to take his club career to the next level. This could in turn put him more firmly in the frame to convince Southgate to select him for England's European Championship squad in Germany next summer. Arsenal's interest in the striker dates back to last season, but the Gunners managed to keep their interest under wraps until recently. They're now widely considered as the main contenders alongside with Chelsea to sign a 27-year-old, but sources have indicated the team thought that they could yet be priced out of such a move. There had been a feeling early in the year that Toney would be available for close to 50 million, and that with his lengthy suspension for gambling breaches being served, there was hopes that that would not rise. Yet Brentford believe his tag is far higher than that, with some sources now indicating a fee upwards of 80 million could prove to be more realistic. Meeting such a price level becomes more possible if there's a battle for his signature, but Arsenal are yet to fully decide on how they'll add to their squad in January. Bringing in a reliable goal source in the form of a number 9 is certainly a strong consideration, but the recent doubts around Saka's injuries bring new concerns, and I don't think in January we'll sign a winger and a striker, at least of the money that's being quoted here, probably be lesser figures. So we'll have to see. But with that being said, that seems to be all of the talking points. The decision in Arteta Edu giving Reece a contract is in question, unless the only reason was given that for sell-on value in the future. I think it was for a bunch of reasons. I think it was, you know, even if let's just say we had Pedro Neto and Ivan Toney, like a striker and a winger in the squad right now, there is scope for Nelson as a body. And with us trying to compete on all comps, I think there is a scope to have another body. So I think it's a bit of everything. I think it was to have another body with the competition. I think it was a bit of protection if we had a failure to bring in a winger. Obviously, Reece Nelson, I wouldn't say he done amazing last season, but he rose in terms of stature in the squad. And you don't really want to see him walk out the door. The man wants to stay. Arteta clearly likes him. So I think it's a bunch of things, if I'm honest with you. You'd imagine Nelson and Eddie, unless there's significant development, the way the club's going, they might become slightly more disposable. 80 million for Toney is insane. Smith Rowe is so good in FM. I think he also needs a chance to play versus City. In brackets, I'm a City fan. Good luck without Saka, by the way. Who is going to buy him and pay 100k a week? No one. To be fair, you'd imagine, I don't know for the fee. I agree with you, the fee, but you'd imagine Ivan Toney is going to get around 100 grand a week or something like that at his new club. I wouldn't mind Timber's twin brother. He looks decent, looks fairly versatile, if I'm honest. Promote a youngster and give them 10k if that's the case. I'm unsure what you're saying there. I'd play 5 midfielders and Jesus up top on his own. To be honest, I'd still go with the 4-2-3-1. I would say the major thing for me is the midfield. Again, if Havertz plays, he has my support. That's what the manager wants to do. But for me as an ignorant fan, I think, especially where they're losing on they're missing out on Rodri, and naturally you'd imagine City are going to double down on, you know, playing attacking football, and, you know, there's going to be a lot of runners. Julian Alvarez is going to have, in my opinion, Haaland's the poster boy. Obviously, Rodri is a major talking point, and Haaland can score goals. But I think Julian Alvarez is going to have a big say tomorrow on proceedings. So I need the midfield locked on. We all know Declan Rice is like a handbrake. He's always there defensively. He gives the team a boost, especially if Zinchenko is going to vacate certain positions. Thomas Partey, you didn't play against Lens. You've had a week's training. Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, Martin Odegaard. I think that's the perfect blend of physicality, the pressing, the quality on the ball, helping with the transitions. I think that needs to be our midfield three. And I actually think it's a game for El Nene, provided it goes the way I need it to go, to come on and help us kind of close out the game. We need the Tomiyasus and El Nenes, etc. Really. Nelson's not good enough as many backups are. Also a bit harsher. Nelson, love for the super chat. Boy, I hope Saka doesn't retire early, my guy, man. Love for the super chat, but I hope that's not the case, man. Yeah, 4-2-3-1, but tight and defensive. And that's the thing, because you need to respect City. We need to sit back at times, take some punches, respect them. But also, long gone are the days in the Premier League where you sit back for 90 minutes, one chance, bang. You need to have belief. You know, City do leave a lot of, both teams leave a lot of space. Carl Walker has great recovery pace, but he leaves a lot of space. Ake at times can go to sleep. I do think we need to, and it's easier said than done, but we need to find that blend of respecting City, respecting what they're about, being switched on defensively, definitely not being open on the transition like shown with Man United and the Spurs games at the Emirates. But also we need to show what we're about. You know, you've got, assuming he's fit, you've got Saka, you've got Jesus, you've got Martinelli. Put them under some pressure. Cedric Suarez feels like someone who will go to Saudi. Well, to be fair, you're chilling off at Arsenal, you're getting paid with the injury. In defense, there's a role for you. You're technically part of our Champions League campaign. It's not really that deep. Big up yourself, Josh. I'd put Zinni at left mid and Tommy left back. I don't think we'll see them kind of changes. A few teams would, but it still would only be in the Prem. No club outside the Prem would give him 100k. Exactly. But do we really see Ivan Toney? Obviously, for argument's sake, if AC, Juventus, Inter, Barcelona, Real Madrid, you know, some more realistic than others, maybe even Napoli if Osimhen leaves in the summer, you'd imagine he could get decent fees. But I don't see Ivan Toney's next step being abroad, if I'm honest with you. So I think you're onto something. But definitely in the Prem, you know, if he's not on 100 bags a week already at Brentford, if they try to get him to sign a new deal with him being called up for England and being, you know, in a day and age where there isn't too many strikers around on some sort of listy features, you imagine he gets 100 bags, really. Because giving Toney 100 bags, which would be an upgrade on whatever he's on now, is probably cheaper than bringing in a replacement, unless you've done the scouting thing, if that makes sense. Who's your dream target for the January window? Zubamendi, Pedro Neto? Well, dream Lionel Messi, because dreams don't have to be realistic, in it, Lionel Messi. But Zubamendi, Pedro Neto, maybe a Karim Adeyemi. Them kind of players there. What's that you at Copenhagen? Ronnie Bojai, I can't say his name, but the Swedish lad, I like him a lot. Even though Arsenal's probably going for Toney, they should look for Osimhen too. Nothing is impossible, right? Nothing's impossible, but you need to front up serious rackets if you want them kind of players. Luton are winning 1-0. Let's not get excited, man. They're going to crumble. I'm trying to talk it into existence. Our high line is just inviting Haaland. And that's where it's a bit difficult, because you kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you drop the line back towards our goal, then you're inviting City to press higher up the team or move higher up as a team. If you play a high line, as you know, you're risking getting into a foot race with Haaland, and that's where maybe you bet on Tomiyasu, really. Do you go with Tomiyasu at right back? The goal's been cancelled. Do you bet on Tomiyasu because he's good in the air, he's a bit more switched on defensively? You do lose a lot going forward. You know, the more we kind of get on with it, kind of what Inner Circle said, I think the talk is around Tomiyasu coming in at right back, because they could go with Grealish or they could go with Jeremy Doku. I probably, if Tomiyasu comes in and we're not going to change the structure and things, for me personally, I probably would shift Tomiyasu to left back, just because we don't get much from our left-hand side anyways. You know, Tomiyasu is good in the air. He's switched on, all of that sort of stuff. And you retain the partnership that Benjamin White and Saka has with the overlap on occasion. But it's a big day for whoever's there. Party in contention is a big boost for us. I personally think it's going to be Odegaard, Rice, and Havertz, if I'm honest. I was saying, if we don't see Reece Nelson getting 20 to 25 games all comps, we might as well have just promoted a youngster and played him sparingly in cup games if Arteta is going to have Saka playing 70 games. I hear that. If Tomiyasu comes in, we have to not be naive and concede possession at times. Amen. Play the high line. That's why we have Saliba, Gabriel, Raya off the line. Play the high line. Exactly. And that's what I mean. It's about just being sensible, being street smart. There's occasions where for a few moments, drop the line. Or have I seen Haaland, Saliba, Gabriel? There needs to be conversations. The fullbacks need to cover, even the midfield. You know, if the defenders have switched off, Declan Rice might just have to fill in and mark Haaland for a sec. As much as it's a chess piece and there's many good individual battles in Arteta and Pep, and there's many talking points before the game, during the game, and after the game, off the ball. Both of these managers make a big song and dance of what you do off the ball. Pep has said it. We pass the ball to disrupt shape. You know, if you really want to watch a game of football, it's what's off the ball. It's them sort of moments there, really and truly, is where we're going to have to learn. Havertz should play on the wing, in my opinion. Test him out there against City, though. Odegaard, Jorginho, Rice should be the centre mids, and Smith Rowe, Trossard should be the other winger, and Jesus should play as a striker. I don't know about Havertz against City out on the flanks. If Arteta wants to rock with it, he's got my support in it, but yeah, I don't really know, if I'm completely honest with you, man. I don't think it's a game for too much experiments. It's Manchester City, really and truly. But Havertz can play in a bunch of roles. The problem is, what is he? Is he a winger? Is he a false nine? Is he a 10? Is he a 8? He can do everything, but what do you thrive at? What are you really? And you compare that to Benjamin White. You know Benjamin White can play centre-half as well as at fullback. The same goes for Tomiyasu. The same goes for Timber. The same goes for a couple of... Technically, Declan Rice is now learning how to play as an 8, can play as a 6. At need be, if we was in crisis, could do a job at centre-half. And there's a bunch of other players. You know, Martinelli can play as a false 9 on the left or on the right. Smith Rowe can play in a couple of roles. Nelson the same. Jesus evidently, really. But, yeah, you get the point, man. We'll have to see anyways, man. I mean, I'd rather Havertz on the wing than in midfield. At least against City, he'll get cooked in midfield. Ideally, he doesn't start, though. I'd rather him in midfield because at least he's going to make fouls and somewhat try and disrupt their play. At least we still have that element of going long. Not that I want that. You're not going to take people on. You're going to drift inside. You know, Havertz doesn't really glide past players. You know, I'd rather Smith Rowe out there because Smith Rowe's more likely to take people on and be proactive in them pockets and make more, because Havertz does do it, but make them consistent third man runs. I don't think enough players run in behind, because even if you don't get the ball, there's a lot of gaps. If someone runs in behind, for example, on the edge of the area, which Norwegian in our team is normally in and around the semicircle of the opposition to bag. There we have it. He's not changing the midfield. Partey will come off the bench. No point spending the money on midfielders that don't play. With his defensive stats, he'll be okay. It's just offensively he stinks. That's the thing, man, really. And I think it's a game. I really do hope Mikel Arteta does go with Partey, Rice, and Odegaard. I think, we all know his new look midfield is he wants to do it with Havertz, Rice, and Odegaard, but I think some games you're going to need that. Like, if this was a must-win game, like every Arsenal fan dies unless we get 3 points. I think that's the best midfield trio that gives us ultimately the best chance of that. But Arteta knows more about football than me. If a midfield three goes out there that isn't that, we'll be saying something completely different, people. So it is what it is in that regards, people. It doesn't appear that there's anything else Arsenal related online. So, yeah, man, I think Arteta is breaking Smith Rowe. At the end of the day, when Smith Rowe gets his chance, he's just gonna have to take it. It's as simple as that. Whether it comes or not's another thing, but there's plenty of football to be played, man. If Havertz plays, we are effed. Let's have a bit of belief, man. Let's have a bit of belief, man. Speaking of belief, I don't know if you're a United fan and you believe you get 3 points today, but I will be watching Brentford against Manchester United later today. I think another Manchester City Arsenal preview has come out on my channel, and one came out this morning, which was an edited piece. So, yeah, with that, people, I'm going to go get some lunch, get stuff sorted to come and do a watch along with you lot. Again, appreciate you lot for being here for half an hour odd with me. Don't forget, Sunday, an hour before kickoff, we'll be watching Arsenal versus City together. So make sure you join me. Again, you lot that have been tuned in today, your comments, all of these things have been amazing. Take care of yourself, stay in good health, and I'll see you lot again soon, man.
There's always just that active red light, defending, I think, like